Can you believe it? President Joe Biden has pardoned his own son, Hunter Biden, for a catalogue of criminal offences. Well, I guess it's a promise made, a promise broken.
With regard to the question regarding the family, I'm extremely proud of my son, Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest, most decent men I know. And I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision, and I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
Even after repeatedly saying that he wouldn't do so, President Joe Biden has pardoned his son Hunter, wiping away his criminal convictions. So what are these charges in question then? Well, in Delaware, the 54-year-old Hunter Biden was found guilty earlier this year on charges that he lied about his drug use on a federal form he completed as part of a 2018 gun purchase. 3 months later, just after his trial on tax charges was set to begin in Los Angeles, he pleaded guilty to the offences in a surprise move that headed off a legal proceeding that was set to feature evidence of the president's son spending lavishly while failing to pay what he owed the government. Now, prosecutors said Hunter Biden evaded taxes by claiming hundreds of thousands of dollars in false deductions, including, get this, writing off payments for escorts and dancers and a sex club membership and his daughter's law school tuition as business expenses. So why now? Why is this all happening now? Why didn't President Biden wait until January the 19th, the day before he leaves the White House next year? Well, Biden's pardon, a decision that he apparently made over the Thanksgiving weekend, came as his son was set to appear for sentencing hearings later this month in Delaware and California, where he faced the potential of long prison terms. In a statement, Biden said that it was clear his son had been, quote, treated differently by the Justice Department and singled out only because he is my son, and that is wrong. I mean, this shameless statement also goes on to say there has been an effort to break Hunter, who has been 5.5 years sober, even in the face of unrelenting attacks and selective prosecution. In trying to break Hunter, they've tried to break me, and there's no reason to believe it will stop here. Enough is enough. I mean, goodness gracious me, honestly. As expected, though, the legacy media appears to have learned nothing. The fact that the 46th president pardoned his own son, despite repeatedly saying that he wouldn't, is being met not just understanding, but with praise.
This is a father who saw his first wife killed, his daughter killed in a car crash, his 2 young sons survive. One goes on to have real difficulties with addiction. Another dies because of cancer. This is a family that's really troubled. I mean, yes, he said he wasn't going to do this, but did anyone ever believe that that was the case? I mean, I would have put good money on this happening. Like, are many people going to be surprised that a father who is also the president would do this for a son?
Hardly surprising, isn't it, with that lot? But the legacy media also spent months and months proclaiming that President Joe Biden was the great protector of the law, saying again and again that the fact that he would allow his own son to be prosecuted proved that fact. They predicted, time and time over, that he would, as the president said, never pardon his son Hunter. So, what kind of backtracking or even apology should we expect now from the legacy media? Well, I wouldn't hold my breath. But, I mean, what can we expect for the same group of people that still won't even acknowledge that the Hunter Biden laptop scandal is real? And, I mean, it was actually an integral piece of evidence presented against Hunter in these charges, for which President Biden has now pardoned him. The other questionable part of the pardon of Hunter Biden is how broad it is. And this is where it gets doubly interesting, because it actually covers a near 11-year period of time. That period covers offences which he has committed or may have committed dating back to the beginning of 2014. So that year, Hunter Biden joined the board of Burisma, a Ukrainian gas company that has figured prominently in investigations of his past business dealings. The pardon drew immediate condemnation from Republicans, who have for years mounted their own investigations into Hunter Biden, including the potential ties that President Joe Biden may have had with those shady Ukrainian dealings. President Biden and his family continue to do everything they can to avoid accountability, said Kentucky Congressman James Comer, chairman of the House Oversight Committee. I mean, even the Democrats are piling in now, including Colorado Governor Jared Polis, who said that the president put his family ahead of the country. He says it sets a bad precedent that could be abused by later presidents. The announcement comes as Democrat lawmakers are returning to Congress this week. They are hoping to keep public attention focused on some of President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet and his administration choices, including the controversial pick Kash Patel to head up the FBI. Well, Democrats have been warning all the time, haven't they? Oh, Trump's going to politicise the Justice Department. Well, what's Joe Biden done? I mean, this pardon risks undermining that message, providing fodder to argue that both political parties are willing to interfere with the justice system whenever it suits them. Trump, in a social media post, called the pardon an abuse and a miscarriage of justice. For President Biden, the pardon represents a remarkable U-turn. The president said that once he made that pardon decision over the Thanksgiving weekend, there was no sense in delaying it further. I hope Americans will understand why, as a father and a president, I would come to this decision. It's also worth pointing out that there is yet another major sticking point, which is sure to bubble up to the surface in the coming days. This is the issue of the gun charge. So remember in 1994, then Senator Joe Biden co-authored a crime bill that locked loads of people up for years on the very same gun charge that he's now pardoned his own son for. Shocking, isn't it? Republicans will also argue that the pardon of Hunter Biden makes a potential blanket pardon by President-elect Donald Trump for those involved in the January 6th protests more feasible. In fact, it's defendable, isn't it? He could get them all out of prison if he wanted to. Ultimately, though, for many, the pardon of Hunter settles Biden's legacy. This is the important bit, really, because it's not only an implicit acknowledgement of his son's crimes, but also his own possible complicity in his son's corruption. That's because Biden didn't just pardon his son for the gun and tax charges, he's pardoned him for all federal crimes. Now, this means that any federal crime that was committed over an 11-year period has now gone. That period in question also means that President Joe Biden's ties with his son's foreign business dealings in Ukraine will likely disappear. So President Biden has conveniently left on a foreign trip that will put him out of earshot of reporters for several days, meaning that there will be little chance for them to ask him about the pardon or to explain it to the country. Well, given his track record of answering such questions, or indeed any question, that's of no surprise, is it? But earlier this year, President Biden tweeted this quote, "No one is above the law." Well, apparently, that's an entirely different set of rules applying when you are the son of the president.